My world shattered the day I found out Hannah, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, was cheating on me. We had been together for 5 years, building what I believed was a fortress of love and trust. We had just moved into our dream apartment, a place we'd picked out together, its walls echoing with promises of a future. But that future was a lie. The discovery was almost cliché. When I confronted her, the dam of her deceit broke. It wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was a full-blown affair with a guy from her work named Mark. He was everything I wasn't: wealthy, flashy, and apparently irresistible. Her confession was cold, almost clinical. "Ryan, it's over," she said, her voice devoid of the warmth I once loved. "I'm with Mark now. I've already moved some of my things to his place." Just like that, 5 years were erased. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain and disbelief. I was a ghost, haunting our once happy home. I barely ate, I barely slept. My friends tried to pull me out of the darkness, but I was drowning. Then, I started seeing them. On social media, Hannah and Mark were living a picture-perfect life. Exotic vacations, lavish dinners, smiling selfies captioned with soulmates. She looked happier than I had ever seen her. And Mark, he was the epitome of success, flaunting his luxury car and designer clothes. Each post was a dagger to my heart, a public declaration that I was easily replaced, that our life together meant nothing. A cold, hard anger that finally silenced the weeping in my soul. I wasn't going to let her destroy me. I wasn't going to be the sad, forgotten ex-boyfriend. No, I was going to rebuild. And while I was at it, I decided I would orchestrate a little karmic justice. It wouldn't be loud or dramatic. It would be silent, subtle, and devastating. My revenge would be my own success and the quiet implosion of their perfect life. The first step was to get my own life back on track. I threw myself into my work with a ferocity I hadn't felt in years. I was a software developer, and I began taking on freelance projects on the side, working late into the night, fueled by coffee and a burning desire to prove her wrong. The extra income started to pile up. I hit the gym, transforming my grief and anger into muscle. Slowly, the man in the mirror started to look less like a victim and more like a fighter. Meanwhile, I began my quiet investigation into Mark. Hannah's posts were a goldmine of information. He was a high-flying investment banker, a world I knew nothing about. But I'm a developer. Information is my playground. I started piecing together his digital footprint. Wasn't hard. People who love to show off are often careless. My developer instincts kicked in. I dug deeper, not hacking, but simply using publicly available information and a bit of logical deduction. I analyzed the market trends he claimed to have predicted and cross-referenced them with actual data. A lot. My plan began to form. I created a few anonymous but highly credible-sounding online profiles on the same investment forums Mark frequented. I didn't challenge him directly. Instead, I started posting my own detailed, well-researched market analyses. Posts were data-driven, cautious, and accurate. I built a reputation as a savvy, no-nonsense analyst. People started listening. Months went by. My freelance career was booming. I moved out of the old apartment and into a sleek, modern downtown loft. I was making more money than I ever had, and I was starting to feel like myself again. I was even going on dates, meeting new people, and realizing that there was life after Hannah. All the while, I kept my digital watch on Mark. His arrogance was his biggest weakness. Started to notice my anonymous profiles gaining traction. In his world, there could only be one king of the hill. He started engaging, trying to debunk my analyses with his usual bluster and flashy jargon. But I had facts on my side. I would calmly and respectfully counter his points with hard data, and the community saw it. His credibility began to slowly erode. People started questioning his unbeatable algorithm. The tipping point came when a particularly volatile stock, which Mark had been championing as a once-in-a-lifetime buy, began to show signs of a major downturn. My anonymous personas had been warning against it for weeks, pointing out the underlying instability. Mark doubled down, calling the skeptics amateurs. He even boasted on his blog about how he and his clients were investing heavily. And then the bubble burst. The stock plummeted, wiping out millions in value overnight. The forums exploded. People who had followed Mark's advice were furious. It lost their savings, their retirement funds. The man who had sold them a dream had led them to a nightmare. His professional life began to unravel. An internal investigation was launched at his firm. Clients were pulling their money out. The financial guru was exposed as a fraud, or at the very least, a reckless and incompetent gambler. This is where the second part of my plan clicked into place. As the pressure on Mark mounted, a listing popped up. I did something a little petty, a little theatrical. I used a shell company I had set up for my freelance work to rent the unit. The transaction was handled through agents. He never knew who the new tenant was. A few weeks later, Hannah's carefully curated Instagram feed fell silent. The happy couple photos stopped. Then came the final, devastating post. Hell. It was a long, rambling text image. She wrote about betrayal, about being lied to, about how the man she trusted had ruined them. Mark had lost his job, his money, and was facing potential lawsuits. Their perfect life was a house of cards, and it had just collapsed. I never contacted her. I never said a word. I just watched from the digital shadows as her world crumbled, just as mine had. My revenge wasn't in her pain, but in my own triumph. I had rebuilt myself into someone stronger, more successful, and happier than I had ever been with her. She had left me for a life of wealth and luxury, and I had ended up with the real thing, built on my own merit. While she was left with the ashes of a life built on lies, the best revenge, as they say, is living well. And in my case, living well meant she lost everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories.